Hello, good afternoon. My name is Gerardo PENA. This is my number class number 12. Looking forward to complete this EMBA program by mid next year. Previously, I did my undergraduate on systems and industrial engineering back in generation of 1999, done at Monterrey Technology Institute, Mexican University. I was born in Mexico. I currently working for a multinational conglomerate that are located in France. Of course, locations and manufacturing or engineering all across the different parts of the world. Name is called Safran. My current job it's as a program manager for the 77 aircraft, where we are servicing and producing electrical wiring systems for these great commercial aircraft. While I was living in Mexico, I started to learn English as a second language. Then I had the opportunity to participate as a international exchange student on one occasion during the high school days at North Carolina. Then in my undergraduate allowed me to did some credits at in a Texas university called MSU. And not least, I did some school trips where we had the opportunity to tour city governments, companies, and visit other universities in the Dallas and Houston area. After that, I hooked into internships with two multinational companies that were doing manufacturing operations in my hometown, Chihuahua, Mexico. That gave me a good opportunity and vision to understand the interconnections of the suppliers located in different parts of the world, bringing materials, use the manufacturing leverage opportunities offered by Mexico, and at the end, provide and position assembled product to the United States and Canada so they can complete higher end major assemblies and of course be at the global competition among all with other firms. During my professional experience, so far I have worked only for two companies. Before I worked for a group called Bocar, totally dedicated to the automotive industry and also dedicated to the export market, in this case, manufacturing all of the products in Mexico and exporting everything to the US and Canada. Working at that firm, my main job exposure in terms of international concepts was while I was working as a new product launch engineer. I had the opportunity to engage with suppliers coming from Germany, Italy, and the US, and at the same time to coordinate all of the engineering and manufacturing functions being done in Mexico, and also at the same time ensure that we were able to deliver a good product to the US customers located at Ford plants, and then eventually Nissan in the south of US and Toyota. At some point, I was moved up in the company in a position to represent the commercial account for making direct contracts with the Ford Motor Company. And also, at some point, I had to initiate our market expansion to start also exporting to China, thanks to the Ford's region immersion in that territory. Also, I got a lot of opportunity to understand the export process, especially while I was developing quoting processes and explaining to the customer about the logistics solutions for requiring our export processes in a way that we can deliver at their plants in the US, or on the other hand, coach them on how to import our product from the border. Um, on the current company that I'm working now, it's called Safran, as I mentioned, and this is for the aerospace industry. I had the opportunity to work during the engineering development of the Boeing 787 program, where we were tasked for designing and preparing for manufacturing the electrical wire harnesses for that plane. And in order to do that, I had the opportunity to um, interact with different engineers and designers located in France, the US, Mexico, and India in order to integrate the different functions, collaborate remotely, and at the same time make sure that we completed the final product so Boeing could have all of the inputs required for launching the new 787 aircraft. Now I'm directing scheduling activities and then oversighting the delivery performance coming from our manufacturing sites that are located in Mexico, the United States, and Morocco. And by making this execution, I have a daily, I will say, involvement of the different transactions that involves cross boundaries and all these trade implications. On the following, I will describe some personal awareness moments that keeps connecting the international business subject in my own view. The currency exchange fluctuations and the relationship with the surplus or deficit in the balance trade between a country and another country. In this case, I have seen my country, Mexico, on different current exchanges fluctuations due to the effects on Mexican exports. In this case, as you can remember, Mexican has been dedicated mainly on oil exports, and when the oil is being hit with pricing, then our international balance trade goes down, and therefore our currency exchange is impacted. The internet, the e-commerce, or the other forms of electronic virtual collaboration, it's been very important on my view in order to keep the international business on constant growth. Um, Manufacturing, the design, and the logistics industry explosions, especially in low-cost countries. I've seen this lived directly while I was living in Mexico. So for some reason, this experience has made a keen interest about the effects and the reasons of why this strategy of offshoring or deshoring has been totally connected to the use of international uh, operations. Also, on the same way, I've seen some exits of certain original manufacturing offshore strategies, and why you have seen either because other countries has been more competitive and lose the value of the former ones, and also on the other hand, technology factor that has proven that productivity is not only can be achieved through low cost country labor or other means. Also, it was very relevant to witness when my former president signed the NAFTA, which was being one of the most important, I would say, opportunities in Mexico to grow by positioning goods and services in Canada and the US. But on the other hand, also some other local industries has been, I would say, impacted due to receive a better competitive products coming from Canada or the US. On the other hand, I saw very interesting strategies of some Japanese and European firms, especially on the automotive in the early 2000, by deciding to invest and put manufacturing plants in the US as a way to localize their cars and exchange this opportunity to not to get, I would say, uh, taxes or tariffs by putting plants in the US and making it local. And that was been a strategy, in order to expand the market of these Japanese, since they knew that the most logical market is in the US and not with their own countries. And lastly, well, not lastly, I also have personally seen in my country how turmoil or violence can affect and disrupt the international operations or trade. We had a crisis in that manner around 2008. Now it's pretty much stable, but it's relevant to point out that the international trade or the collaboration between countries or among countries can be destroyed by turmoil or other kind of political disruptions. And now lastly, it's another important impact on my view on what is going to be the future outcome with this current protectionism era, talking specific about the Trump views and the Brexit case that it's been controversy. Sorry, that has been a strong controversy during these last 2 years.